A very good evening. You're watching India Today with me, Nabila Jamal. I'm going to give you the roundup of the day's news. Today, we saw the headliner, of course, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurating the massive Purvanchal Expressway. It's a 341-kilometer expressway built at a whopping cost of 22,500 crore rupees. So that's the money that's been sent, that's been literally spent extensively for that expressway. And this expressway also doubles up as a massive runway. We're looking at least a 3.5-kilometer emergency runway strip that this highway also doubles up to, which means in an emergency war-like situation, you might just see aircrafts, fighter jets, literally landing on that strip. This is exactly the focus that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had while, of course, inaugurating this massive expressway. That this not only helps the people of the Purvanchal region basically for better connectivity. Lucknow to Ghazipur, we're looking at the distance covered in a mere 3.5 hours. So this is not just going to be helping that belt, but also helps people of Bihar, as it's going to be touching major roads to Bihar as well. So a big plus for the BJP, considering that it won about 115 odd seats in that entire stretch of Purvanchal. So they're trying to gain that support and strength back again along that entire region. So it's a great push for the BJP along that belt, which already has huge favoritism towards the BJP. But what's slightly worrisome is that the BJP this time have been quite worried about the massive migrants who moved from many parts of the country towards Uttar Pradesh along the lockdown. The time of the lockdown, the Yogi government has received a lot of flack for COVID handling, and many migrants, you saw how they walked barefoot literally all the way to their hometowns, and mostly those people came from the eastern UP region. And this eastern UP region is where the Purvanchal Expressway has now been launched, and this is the same area which is a big vote bank for the BJP. And not just that, you also have huge vote banks. I mean, when we say the SP, the BSP and the Congress have massive presence along 9 districts in that region. So we're looking at Purvanchal Expressway covering at least 9 districts, and those 9 districts, even though the BJP has great presence, they've won 115 assembly constituency seats. You also have the SP, the BSP, as well as the Congress, who has some presence along that region. So the BJP, of course, as much as it's worried about the migrant crisis after the COVID pandemic, they're at the same time worried about Western UP, literally falling out of their hand because of farmers' agitation. The farmers currently are protesting on the farm laws, the new farm laws, and there's a huge lobby currently against the BJP government along the Western UP region. So if anything, the BJP is literally banking on their stronghold, the Eastern UP region, and this is where the Purvanchal Expressway has come about. So right after the launch of the Purvanchal Expressway, a massive air show was also on full display, where we saw the magnificent Sukhoi 30s, the MKI, the Mirage 2000, the Jaguars, along with transport aircraft, Russian-built AN-32, showing their might in full strength in the air. So this was, these are areas where people have not at all seen an aircraft, let alone a fighter jet. So for them, these aircrafts were a huge show of strength and pride to be Indian at this point. So people there, people there come from backward communities. When I say backward communities, I'm talking about people there who are barely able to uplift themselves because of lack of jobs. The economy is at a slump there. So here in that region, they're really desperate for some kind of business to start up, some kind of push to the economy there. So job creation is what they're looking at, and this is exactly what Purvanchal was really hoping for, and this is what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has given to them, quite literally handed over to them, an expressway which will now create lakhs of jobs along that region, hoping to uplift those communities and that entire stretch. So this Purvanchal Expressway was a huge show of strength and an image flexing for the BJP, who's hoping to gain big and retain power in Uttar Pradesh. So quite a big show it was today, with Prime Minister also lavishing praises on Yogi Adityanath, saying how this was a whole developmental push that was initiated by Yogi himself, since it's also Gorakhpur also comes along that eastern Uttar Pradesh region. So this is where UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has been elected. You also have Varanasi along the same region of Purvanchal, where Prime Minister Modi has been elected as an MP. So here these are areas which are so important for the Prime Minister and the BJP alike. So they are not leaving any stone unturned to ensure that people in this region are mighty impressed with the BJP and what they've done. So it was a massive blitz in full display, as we saw the Prime Minister today. He in fact landed on that Purvanchal Expressway, the patch which is an emergency runway strip. He landed in a C-130J Hercules aircraft. So that was a huge show of strength. Also a force multiplier. So this runway not just benefits, when I say the expressway, not just benefits people along those 9 districts and those traveling, those living along that belt, but it also gives a big boost to the military, as this emergency runway strip really adds as a force multiplier to the defense. So huge push to the BJP in Uttar Pradesh with this one project, and this is and Purvanchal region, they've in fact inaugurated a couple of projects in the last few days. We're looking in last month, in fact, an international airport was launched in the Purvanchal region as well. So we're looking at the BJP really doing everything that they can to please those people along that region. So let me cut across to Prime Minister's Purvanchal Expressway launch and the politics that really ensued over the day today. So even as the BJP said this was their project, but they don't have to say it. The fact that they launched it itself becomes their project, a project backed by the BJP, and a project that was delivered by the BJP. SP today said that this is rubbish. They said that BJP is trying to steal their idea because the Purvanchal Expressway was entirely the brainchild of the SP, the Samajwadi Party, and that they had already launched it back in 2017. So SP says that the credit must go to SP and not the BJP. In fact, SP leader Akhilesh Yadav and a few other leaders of the SP also reached the Purvanchal Expressway early this morning, literally inaugurated that expressway by themselves, tried to take credit for it, took a couple of pictures and said this was their project that has finally come to life. So it's interesting to see the credit war taking place between the two sides, but nonetheless we saw Prime Minister Modi eventually successful in launching the Purvanchal project today, the Purvanchal Expressway, along with a host of other projects along that whole region. So yeah, like I said, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, of course, hitting out at the opposition, said that so far none of the opposition parties, he gave a massive speech, he spoke a couple of languages, which was very interesting for the people of that region, because he's tried to speak the dialect of that region. And he spoke about how many of the opposition parties in the past really promised development but never actually delivered it, which is true, because when you really see the BJP and the way they've managed to roll out several developmental projects along their tenure while they were in power, it's really impressive and commendable to see how they've managed to do it in such quick succession. While many other parties either have not done it, empty promises, so far have not delivered, or they may have laid the foundation stone, but the BJP has accelerated that work and finally managed to deliver. So I spoke about that international airport. It's been inaugurated in Kushinagar along the Purvanchal region. So this is a massive international airport that's been inaugurated in that region, which also now gives jobs to lakhs of people along that area. We're looking at a series of developmental projects worth a total of 450 crores in that assembly belt. So, this should hopefully bring BJP all that support that they're really hoping for. When we're seeing a two-pronged approach by the BJP this time, on one hand, of course, Prime Minister Modi is their trump card. So Prime Minister has been visiting several areas, districts along the eastern Uttar Pradesh region. So Prime Minister Modi, of course, is sounding the Vikas push. He's constantly speaking of development and Vikas. And on the other hand, the Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is speaking on Hindutva. He's constantly pushing the Hindutva agenda. So on both ends, it's like a two-pronged approach which the BJP is using to ensure that they gain power once again in that state of Uttar Pradesh, the largest state in terms of assembly constituencies in the country today. Let me cut across to some controversy brewing in Tamil Nadu. We're looking at the actor Surya, a very famous star, actor Surya, who has now landed himself in trouble with this new legal drama film called Jai Bhim. So the Vaniyar community, which is a significant, a concise population in Tamil Nadu, they are very upset with one of the scenes in the series Jai Bhim, where the Vaniyar community believes that the movie is trying to show them in bad light. In fact, the villain of that series, his name has been changed to Guru Murthy. So the Vaniyar community believes that this is a deliberate attempt to project literally to project the community in bad light and to make it look like the Vaniyar community are those who indulge in illegal activities, or who are often carrying out atrocities, etc. So they feel very wronged in this Surya star film, Tamil film, Jai Bhim. So, of course, a legal notice has been sent out to Surya along with the director and also the co-producer of this film, Jyotika, who's also Surya's wife. So, what's shocking here is that the legal wing, which is called the Patali Makkal Kachi, the legal wing of the Vaniyar community, literally has said that they're going to give a 1 lakh reward prize for anybody who attacks actor Surya. So this is what has been said, and this has of course created quite some controversy, with Surya of course saying that this is not true, this is just almost a true incident, and that's what's portrayed in the film, and it's not out there to hurt any religious sentiments or any sentiments of the Vaniyar community specifically. Vaniyar community has said cough up 5 crores in compensation and edit those scenes at the earliest, if not face the brunt. So they've sued the filmmakers for this. All right, so there you see, on one hand, on the other hand, we're looking at the wrestling community in the country today really going through a tough phase, especially women who are into wrestling, kusti, as many of our Indian wrestlers have managed to win big in the Olympics. They won several medals in the Olympics, and we see more men, in fact, enrolling into wrestling in parts of Haryana. In fact, that's the hub, that's almost the nursery for wrestling in India. So we're seeing many men pursuing a career in wrestling and many women dropping out. So the reason to this, I'm touching upon this, is because very recently a budding wrestler called Nisha Dahiya and her brother were murdered. So they were murdered in broad daylight, and this happened in Sonipat. This was a lot of controversy around how her coach allegedly molested her, and there was a lot of talk around it. And then one day she gets killed in Sonipat along with her brother. Her mother was also shot. She's critical. So very scary. So women there have alleged many times that they don't feel free while learning wrestling, while learning the sport, because many of times they actually feel violated. There are several allegations against people who train them of trying to sexually molest them, etc. So women extensively are dropping out, even though we are seeing several wrestlers actually winning big in the Olympics and the international games, making India proud. Women by the day we see have been pulling out of wrestling thanks to all these the hostile environment that some men have created for these women by assaulting them, harassing them, sexually molesting them. So this has really become a matter of worry. So if you do come across a girl who's needing help and who wants to take up the sport, there are real credible academies that you could reach out to. Please get to those academies. Of course, the financial support will come over time. If the candidate is good, then they will get scholarship. This sporting academies all across, particularly in Haryana, that belt, are really willing to give out scholarships and a training fee to anybody who's really wanting to. So if many women particularly are dropping out, please do encourage them not to. But here we're looking at the Wrestling Federation, the president of the Wrestling Federation of India, Brij Bhushan Singh. He says that he really wants wrestling to pick up a lot more and become almost a national sport. That's what he says, that he wants people to actually help build the sport rather than tarnish it, and all these incidents, like for example, even recently we saw how Sushil Kumar, he also got into a massive a tussle, a fight of sorts, and a wrestler was murdered. And so it's brought such bad name to the wrestling community, even though it's one of the brightest and the best sport in India, which has brought so many medals. So yeah, so Haryana, it seems like, is reworking on its strategy on how to make wrestling academies almost a safe place for women particularly. That's that. All right, so Sukesh Chandrasekhar, this is a man, the con artist, who's basically been in prison in Tihar jail for looting, almost extorting 200 crore rupees from a businessman's wife, and literally conning several people, including Bollywood stars Jacqueline Fernandez and Nora Fatehi. So India Today found some images that showed Sukesh Chandrasekhar literally in prison trying to cover up the CCTV cameras. An entire barrack has been let out only for him, a barrack where at least 40 prisoners can stay in that barrack. Only Sukesh Chandrasekhar is staying in that entire barrack, and some garments have been used to literally cover the CCTV cameras there. So he's sitting, enjoying himself inside that prison. In those images, you can see he's talking on the phone. He has a massive barrack all to himself. So jail officials clearly have facilitated this for him, maybe with a bribe amount, and we're hoping that the authorities crack them down and they're suspended, because here this man is living in luxury even inside prison. Outside prison we saw what happened, and inside too. Now there's some news coming in of Sukesh Chandrasekhar. He says that whatever money that he extorted, we believe that he's admitted to investing all that money into cryptocurrency. So Sukesh Chandrasekhar says that he's put it into cryptocurrency, but yet the officials have no word on how to retrieve that money back again. But over the last year, multiple items that Sukesh Chandrasekhar's bought finally seized by the CBI, the ED, the IT. In fact, they've seized, let me tell you, the kind of luxury items that he has over the last years. He's managed to buy at least 15 IT particularly has recovered at least 15 high-end cars, 61 costly watches. CBI has recovered about 85 luxury watches, 9 high-end cars and other luxury items. ED has recovered 19 high-end cars. So we're looking at CBI, ED, IT individually recovering as many luxury items and accumulating them, which comes up to over 100 crores. So this man has managed to just con people and gather this kind of money, and he's now sitting in prison still, literally conning people while he sits in prison as well. So Jacqueline Fernandez, Nora Fatehi are also beneficiaries. They've received gifts from him. Jacqueline Fernandez apparently dated him, but she refuses, saying that this is just, defamatory. It's not true. And Nora Fatehi says she has nothing to do with him, but she still accepted a massive BMW car from him. So it's of course now all those people who've got gifts from Sukesh Chandrasekhar will be called in one after the other to actually be interrogated to see where that money that he extorted from people really went. Now, a quick word, we're seeing the centre today who's chaired a crucial meeting, a high-level meeting with all the states, particularly those pollution-hit states, particularly Delhi, Punjab, Haryana and UP governments. And now they've all proposed that they're going to try and come up with solutions to curb air pollution. So they've proposed a ban on construction activities, which is a must. All the governments have agreed upon this, that construction activity must be halted for a little while, because we've got to bring down the air pollution. There are complaints of respiratory infections that have gone up manifolds. Doctors saying that they've got unprecedented numbers of people who've come to them with infections who are absolutely fit, but because of pollution levels, they're finding it really hard. So these governments have decided that, especially along the NCR region, all construction work will come to a grinding halt. All industries will be shut temporarily. Any industry that lets out pollution will be shut temporarily. Apart from that, of course, schools have been closed for a little while, for a week or so. Work from home will be encouraged extensively. So if you are working from home, possibility is that the governments might just push, or your companies, or rather the government might give directions to companies, private and government alike, to allow for people to work from home for a little longer. So this all comes after the Supreme Court intervened and questioned the Delhi government and the states around on what are they doing on pollution levels. Tomorrow is the hearing in the Supreme Court. All this, the meeting, whatever has come down in this meeting, a proper progress report will be given to the Supreme Court tomorrow. Let's see how the Supreme Court sees this. All right, that's it. Kerala rains now, heavy rains, many areas inundated. I'm going to take you through some of the districts. Kottayam, Idukki, Kannur, which is completely waterlogged. 8 districts today, including these that I mentioned, have been sounded with a yellow alert. We're looking at 5 people who've lost their lives in rain mishaps as well. So Kerala institutions mostly have all been shut. In fact, Kerala University, MG University have also cancelled their examinations. So terrible rains in Kerala. We're looking at a few more days, at least 4 more days when rains will continue. 7,000 relief camps have been set up. 3,000 people have been evacuated. Fishermen have been strictly advised not to venture out into the sea. So this is what's happening in Kerala. On that note, thank you very much for watching. Stay safe. Have a great day.